beautiful people, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to my little corner of the interwebs. Today we're going on a trip. Actually 3 trips because we have 3 new mini palettes from Nomad Cosmetics. And y'all, these are so darn cute. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So last year, Nomad Cosmetics came up with their Nomad Air line. If you didn't know, the brand is really centered around travel, so they tend to focus a lot of their releases on different locations, different destinations. But last year, they gave us this travel or Nomad Air collection that was skincare, but it did include a mini 6-pan palette. And I honestly thought that was it, but I got a package in the mail this week where there were 3 new mini palettes. So I'm going to be giving you guys 3 looks focused on each of these palettes, and then I'll come back at the end to tell you my overarching thoughts. Now, each palette is inspired by a completely different location, so we're going to go through each palette now and then dive into the demos. With the eyeshadow palettes, I did get a Nomad Air ticket. I love that they came up with these old school like plane tickets because, you know, we all just use the code on our phone now, but this was a vibe, man. Who didn't love a good paper plane ticket? So on the paper plane ticket, it tells you the destination, but on the back, you really get into the details of the 3 different palettes. So first up, we're going to the Canadian Rockies. Now this palette has rich pine greens and vibrant glacier lake blues combined with lighter hues of nature's woods and mountains, 4 blendable mattes and 2 brilliant shimmers. Now once we've left the Canadian Rockies, we're going to go to Abu Dhabi, Zayed. I think I pronounced that right. This palette, which is the warm neutrals, has a collection of colors from rich spices and desert sands to sunset hues of the golden hour on the dunes. 4 smooth mattes and 2 exquisite shimmers. And lastly, once we're done with Abu Dhabi, we're headed to Oslo, Gardermoen. Let's figure that out. Oh, I think it was right. Gardermoen. This is the Cool Neutral palette. It's a mix of shimmery, silver, and metallic dusty pink with cool taupe and greige for natural and minimal cool tone looks. 4 soft mattes and 2 glistening shimmers. So here we have the 3 palettes all kind of next to each other. I will say the packaging is pretty minimal on here, but I love that they kind of helped guide us in terms of the colors. So we have the cool toned packaging for the cool toned Oslo palette. Then we have the warm packaging for the warm Abu Dhabi palette. And the blue-green tealish packaging for the Rockies. In terms of additional product details, there is some information on the back of each palette. But just so you guys know, there is a 12-month shelf life on each of these palettes, and it has a sort of net weight of 1.5 grams, and it was made in China. And it's cruelty-free and vegan, if that is something that you're mindful of. And price-wise, these will retail for $22 each, so not bad, actually, especially considering that these are pretty large eyeshadow pans, so you get a decent amount of product. So now that you guys have seen the swatches, you've seen the inside of the palettes, let's go ahead and dive into the demos. Okay, so first things first, we're going to go into this shade here. It's called Brave the Bears. I love that. That's funny. And that's going to be the transition shade for this look.
I said I hate you, guess I was lying. Kinda miss all of the fighting. When it's good.
Next, we're gonna go into this matte shade, Find Your Peak, and that's gonna go directly underneath the first shade to start sort of deepening things up, bringing a little bit of punch to the look.
I'm alright, but if I'm being honest, home is where the heart is.
And then taking that same brush, I'm going to go into the deepest green. That's called Take a Hike. And then I'm going to start by stamping that into the outer part of the eye, blending that inward. Nomad mattes, man. They are a dream to work with. Now we have two shimmers in this palette. We have this beautiful green, ooh, and then this stunning blue. Now you know we're gonna put both of these on the eyes. Of course. So starting with the green, I'm gonna actually just plop that into the outer part of the eye here.
You hit me the hardest.
This is nice. It's thin, but not too thin, and light, and has really nice sparkle. And it's not too creamy, so if you have issues with creasing, I think you'll really like this. Then I'm going to take that blue, and yep, you already guessed it, that's going to go into the inner part of the eye.
I won't say anything was perfect. I won't even hide it. Home is where the hurt is. And I feel heartless.
So you see the vision, this is what we're going for. And this was such a quick and easy look. Let me go ahead, clean up the rest of my face, make sure everything is blended together nice and seamless. Then I'll come back and show you guys the final look. Okay, we're gonna start by going into Finding Dunes as the transition shade for this look.
Just lost my mind. Now I'm losing.
Next, I'm gonna go into Spice Market. And we're gonna put that right underneath that first shade.
You say you love me, then you hate me. How do I let it happen? You build me up and tear me into tiny pieces every single time. You've got me.
And then taking that same brush, we're gonna go into the deepest shade. This is called Endless Sands. And you already know we're gonna plop that into the outer V, blending that into the inner part of the eye.
Fingers crossed, I'm begging, baby, let me go.
This is still a pretty, in my opinion, mid-toned shade. So in terms of depth, you're not gonna get too deep in this palette, but I actually don't mind that for this look. I think that this is gonna be such a beautiful, warm, just kind of like light look, since we don't have a crazy deep shade.
Your eyes cut like a knife, piercing through mine, leaving me blind.
As you can see, we have a nice reddish look going on. Now let's get into the shimmers. We have this bronze shade here, as well as this more reddish shade. So these are the two shimmers that we're working with. Of course, we're gonna put both in the eyes. I think I'm gonna start with the bronze in the inner part, and then put the pink in the, bronze in the outer part, and then the pink in the inner part. Yeah, that seems about right. So taking the bronze shade.
Baby, let me go. You've got
Something about these shimmers are extra nice, man. And they don't seem to be too tightly packed, which is an issue I think that Nomad had in older releases. Sometimes the shimmers would be too densely packed, hard to pick up. But I don't think we're gonna have this issue with these. Oh, that's pretty. Again, taking that pink.
gotta love the feeling how. Are you gonna save me now?
I'm calling it pink, but it's more of a maroon than anything else. And plopping that into this inner part of the eye here.
You've got me in over my head. I'm drowning in the undertow. I've got my
Oh, this is such a pretty warm look. And you guys know how I feel about my warm looks. Alright, this is the vision. This is what we're going for. Let me go ahead, clean everything up, blend everything together, and then I'll come back and show you guys the final look.
I'm crying out for help. Do you hear me screaming? Lying on the floor, hanging from the ceiling now. Are you gonna let me down? Are you gonna let me down? You caught up in my heart.
Okay, this is the final look. Just really quickly, I did want to let you guys know that for the eyebrow highlight, I actually went in with this matte shade. And I think I'm actually going to take a little bit of this and use this as my inner corner highlight. Just going to take a little bit of that and just plop it right here. Because there is no light shimmer in this 6-pan, but there are light mattes. Well, there is this one light matte. Okay, on to the next look. Okay, so first things first, we're going to start off with the shade Practical. This is going to be our transition shade for today, so that's going to go directly into the crease. Yeah, this is going to be nice and smoky. So I'm going to be very careful not to add too much, otherwise this can go from day to night very, very quickly. Although chances are I'm still gonna add too much. Y'all know how we do.
Break bones, but we always plan them. Every heartbreak is a lesson. Let it go, don't be afraid. Find my love.
And then from Practical, we're gonna go into Natural, and we're gonna start building. You know the routine, so that's gonna go directly under that first shade, concentrating it really on the second half of the eyes. You know, this is the palette that caught my eye the most. I don't wear a lot of cool tones, and I'm not typically drawn to cool tones because I have such a warm undertone, but damn, this one was pretty, y'all.
Suitcases up and fly across the sea.
And then taking that same brush, we're going to go into the deepest shade. This is Functional. And we're going to start building out the outer corner. And I'm trying to go in very lightly because this is very, very close to black. And I don't want this to be so dense and so smoky that it just kind of overpowers everything.
With music, yeah. Find my love, don't lose it.
And you already know it's time for the shimmers. So first up we have this silver. Then we have, it's like a silver, but it looks like it's a little bit more taupery and has a little bit of pink reflex in there. So we have like a true silver and then the pink. So you guys could probably already guess, this is the standard for this video. We're gonna take the silver, put it into the outer part of the eye, and then in the inner part of the eye, we're gonna put that kind of pinky silvery shade. So this is like a pure metallic silver, if you want to call it that, or like, what's that phrase? Gunmetal? Is that what they use?
Kiss my tears away. Find my love, don't lose it.
Okay, I like that shade. It's not so stark that it would look very strange against my skin tone, so I'm very happy with that. And now we're gonna go into this pinky silver shade, which, yeah, that definitely has a lot more shine to it, and it also feels like it has a drier texture and more and smaller, finer particles. So this is giving a lot more shine than that first shade. And on the eyes, it could be because it's laid down to the silver, a little bit of that pink is like gone, so it definitely looks more like a true silver. And this does have a pretty decent amount of fallout as I'm rubbing my fingers in it and patting it on the eyes. I can see the particles kind of like falling onto my cheeks, and I think that's because it does have a very dry consistency. I'm really impressed with the shimmers in this. I don't know if Nomad has reformulated or what, but these shimmers feel nice.
Kiss my tears with music.
Okay, you guys see the vision. Let me go blend, build, you know, all that fun jazz, and I'll come back and show you guys the final look.
Lay in the dark, but I'm always blowing.
Okay, I'm back, and this is the third and final look with the third and final Nomad Cosmetics palette. So let's go ahead and get into my final thoughts. Okay, so now that you guys have seen me test all 3 mini palettes, let's talk about it. Honestly, I really like this. I thought that these palettes were super duper nice. In terms of the color stories, I think it was really simple, and I understand that because these are intended to be a part of that travel collection. So these are those, you know, mini palettes that you just kind of like throw in your bag when you're going on a trip and you're not looking for anything too complicated. What I really appreciate about all of these palettes is the matte to shimmer ratio. So you get 4 mattes, 2 shimmers, more than enough. What I wish they would have done differently though is that the shimmers in all of these palettes are a little bit dark, even for me. You know, they're not like too deep, I shouldn't say that, but I will say it would have been nice to have something that's a little bit lighter so that you can mix easier, because all of these tend to lean a little bit mid-tone to deep, so your looks do definitely look a little bit richer. So it would have been nice to have maybe just a slightly lighter shimmer. For example, we have this pretty rich sort of maroon plus this rich copper. If this was even like a lighter copper, that would have been great, you know. But no real complaints in terms of the performance and of the mattes versus the shimmers. The mattes blended like a dream. I had no issue building and blending them. These are the typical good Nomad mattes with all of the punch and the impact that you could possibly want. In terms of the shimmers, honestly, I feel like it got better. One of the things that people have complained about Nomad shimmers in the past is that sometimes they can be hard pressed, hard to pick up with either your finger or with a brush. And I feel like these were not overly pressed in the pan, so they were very, very easy to pick up, and they transit very nicely to the lids. I used both my finger and my brush to apply it, and I found that I really had no issues applying it. I also feel like they finally, and I shouldn't say finally, but they found a very good ratio of creamy to dry when it came to these shimmers. Sometimes shimmers can be a little bit too creamy, which can result in creasing, or a little too dry, which results in a lot of fallout. And I feel like the shimmers in this palette were that perfect mix, and I'm trying to think, this might have been a part of their, like this formula might have been what they used in the last Halloween release, but I don't know, it felt nice, it felt good, and I was like, is this what it always was? It felt really, really nice. And there are no like multi-chromes, there are no special shades in this, but these are honestly just great solid mattes and shimmers, and I appreciate that, especially because as someone who travels like relatively frequently, especially for work, these are the types of things that I like having with me. Like, I'm not trying to go any crazy over the top. I want like some basic mattes, a nice, good, solid, reliable shimmer, and we're good to go. So I think that this is a great addition to the Nomad lineup and perfect for folks who need just sort of smaller, quick, easy, simple palettes that they can throw in their bag when they're traveling. So that's it, honestly, you guys. I'm happy. I like it. It's good. That's all I really have to say about these palettes. If you were planning to pick it up, be sure to use the code Jamila. It will save you 10% on your purchase. I am an affiliate with the brand, so if you do use that code, I will get a small commission, and that goes right back into supporting this channel, which we always appreciate. But that's it from me, guys. As always, I want to thank you so much for watching today's video. I appreciate you all so much more than you know, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye, guys.